Yep, time for another vlog. So obviously a week off last week of doing the vlogs. I'm doing them bi-weekly now, so back to it this week. So yeah, today is week commencing Monday 22nd of November 2021. Planning 5 days on the run this week, so obviously that's 4 nights. See how many I get home, because it's getting colder now and a bit less pleasantry tramping, but that's just how it is this time of year. So fuel prices as ever. So last week I did actually use my UK fuels card, the Shell card, to get through them. It's the first time I used it in a while because they were happened to be cheapest last week, and they were cheapest again this week. So the UK fuels, which again, like I say, is the Shell card to get through them, 116.14, and the other one I have, which is the BWOC or Block card, that's 117.63. So yeah, the UK Fuels Shell card is cheaper again this week, so that's what I'll be using. With the VAT it works out at 139.37. The big news this week for fuel card prices, and it's not just me, other people mentioning it on Facebook groups, for courier groups and also truck groups that I look at and other things like that, is it has gone down quite a lot since last week, which is good because it's shot up since the end of September. So it's gone down about 3p. So last week I was paying 119.06 plus the VAT. This week it's 116.14, so it's gone down just under 3p. Cheapest card from last week to cheapest card this week. With the VAT, that's bang on 3.5p a litre. So that's good news. Hopefully that's the start of a trend of it going down, because it's gone up a lot. So I was looking at like it started going up late September, so week commencing 27th of September I think it was, it jumped up from the previous week 3p, and it just kept jumping up. It kind of plateaued a bit, and it's gone down a lot since last week for 3ish pence plus the VAT. Hopefully, like I say, that's it starting to go down now. It kind of needs, whatever happened to cause the price to go up, that hopefully it's gone now, and then it'll go back down and settle down properly. So that is the fuel prices. Started a bit late this morning, kind of late, but I was away this weekend up to North Wales, and when I do that on the weekend I tend to have a bit of a later start on a Monday. I think like start about 10ish. I did start about 5 to 10 this morning. Feels reasonably busy. Got a job within about half an hour. It's about half an hour. I was a bit surprised to get this job. It was 199 miles or something loaded. Short wheelbase van job. I've quoted 195, which is high really for a short wheelbase van. I was only 11 miles from it, but it turned out I went a different way to pick it up, so it's slightly shorter, like 7.5. It's going to Washington. I've noticed jobs to the northeast you can get more money on them because I think less people bid, but coming up here lately, touch wood, I'll be able to get out alright tomorrow, but I've done alright on them coming up here. There's a lot less jobs up here, but I think you're better off up here, especially when you're tramping and flexible where you go, pretty flexible, than being in like West London and just like having massive amounts of competition and not getting anything for hours and hours. So anyway, I got this job. I went and picked it up, one pallet, 100 kilograms of some look like water pump castings that were going from a company that does water pumps and fuel pumps and oil pumps by looks of it for commercial vehicles. So yeah, I picked up the castings from them and brought them up to a machine shop up here. So they're obviously going to do the machining and whatever they do. Not a great deal of them, maybe about 30 of them or something like that, maybe less. Yes, so that was the first job of the day. So yeah, I got up here about 3ish, tipped 3 o'clock. Like I say, 195. So that worked out quite well. It worked out about that job 96p a mile, maybe slightly more, all miles. There were jobs pinging up, but I thought I'll ideally get a job south, but a job pinged up, short wheelbase job. I was 6 miles from it. It was 8 miles loaded, so 40 miles all in. Another short wheelbase job. I thought I'd go in like what my usual minimum charge used to be when I was in a short wheelbase van, which was my old Renault Traffic. 40 quid. I don't think it's much higher in a long wheelbase. I think if you bid much more than 40 quid in a job that length, you're not going to get it in like normal areas. Maybe more in London. Yeah, and I got it pretty sharpish, picking up some lights from and yellow transformer boxes from a higher place, and took it to some car dealership where they've got some issue with the lights in their workshop, so they hire these lights in. And that was job 40 quid for 14 miles, so the pence per mile is obviously really good on that. And it did actually take me an hour and 10 minutes from getting a job to tipping it, so that's pretty good. That's when the short job pays off, so that's like £35 an hour or something, but it's only a short job. As it happened, I did think it's quite a bit of a risk, because if a better job comes up, a longer job south, I won't be able to bid on it. But as it happened, I didn't miss out on anything anyway, so I went back through the jobs once I tipped that one, and I hadn't really missed out on anything. So yeah, the day, 235 quid for the day then, but not many miles, so I've done 221 miles. So I've not really met my target for the day, but I did start quite late, which is, I'm at my minimum target, 220, but not my kind of real target, if you know what I mean. Where I really want to be is like 250 a day. But because my all miles pence per mile is over 106 pence a mile for the day, I've worked out what my pre-tax profit is, which is basically my wage for the day. I can normally do at the end of the week for the whole week and average it. I've done it just for today, and it comes out at about 160 quid, so I have met target really, because 150 quid is what I'm aiming for on average. So I'm slightly above my average, my target for the day. So yeah, not a bad day all in all. Pretty quiet, pretty cold now. I'm sat in a Asda car park just off the A19, sort of North Shields kind of way, Wallsend, is it? Don't know, something on there. Big new Asda, newish looking Asda. No parking restrictions, so I'm going to tramp here tonight with the heater on, and there's a McDonald's in the Asda, so I can go and get my coffee in the morning. So that is the start of the week done. Right, Tuesday night now, just before 10. Strange day today. Ended up somewhere I don't normally come. So this morning, woke up fairly early. Started looking for jobs, say 7:20, something like that. Feed was very slow in the northeast. It's very hit and miss up there, I find. Sometimes I think it's not too bad, and then other times it's just dead. So it was like one job probably on average every 10 minutes. I was in, just north of the time, Wallsend kind of, I think it was. But my home location for notifications actually set a bit further south than that, still at Washington, so I'm getting jobs slightly further south as well in my catchment area. And it was very slow, and I did bid on a few jobs, but I didn't get anything. And it got to about 11ish, and what I've noticed in the northeast, you get a fair few jobs. Obviously Newcastle's closer to, probably the closest major city to Scotland in England, so you do get a fair few jobs going to Scotland, but I don't ever go to Scotland, do I? I actually bidded on 2 jobs for Scotland because I just got fed up of sitting around. I thought if I can get them for the right money, I'll take a chance. Quite a nice blue skies day. Be a nice drive up the east coast, up the A1. And I bid on a 250 mile short wheelbase job, which I was about three miles from, I think. It was 250 miles, like I say, short wheelbase. Quoted 250 for it, so £1 a mile loaded. Pretty much £1 a mile All Miles because so close to it. Didn't get the call straight away, but got it probably half an hour later. So maybe they were waiting for a better price. Didn't get one. Don't know. It's one of them ones when the phone rings, and I was like, who's that? I was thinking because it'd been a while since I placed a bid. And she says, oh yeah, you quoted on such and such a job going to Aberdeen. I was like, oh god, she's going to give me it, isn't she? And yeah, she gave me it. So a bit apprehensive about doing this job, but to wait and see if it pays off. What happens tomorrow? Yeah, and I went and picked it up from a metal fabrication workshop. And it was a company I picked up from. I dropped it off to the same company, their site in Aberdeen. I wondered what the hell it was at first. This metal frame with this like really fancy fabricated thing on it. Well, a lot of work went into making this. You can just tell by looking at it. Have a quick look at this. Yeah, a lot of work's gone into that. And what I worked it out when I got up here, it was a mould for making plastic buoys for like the oil and gas industry. So these massive plastic buoys they had in this place, you know, the things that float in the water and stuff. It must be something to do with the oil and gas industry. And it was a mould for making one of them. So they've got their own fabrication workshop in Newcastle. And supplies their factory up here making the moulds by the looks of it. So that's quite interesting. Nice drive up here, like I say, up the east coast, past, you know, pretty close to the coast. I used to live, like I say, Newcastle and get up Northumberland and Holy Island, and you could see that in the distance and see the North Sea. It's all quite nice, and over the bridge, one of the Forth bridges, and up here, but it's dark by the time I got to sort of Perth way. Yeah, I got it tipped about just after 6. So I've had a look on the feed. I think today about 13 jobs have come up, been posted on the CX from within 30 miles of Aberdeen. So obviously a very quiet area. Don't even know if any of them jobs are duplicate jobs. Possibly are, don't know. Maybe not because it's so quiet up here. Probably just sold. Well, yeah. The only good thing is I did over £1 a mile yesterday, all miles, and today slightly under, so I'm still at 103 pence a mile, all miles. So I could possibly go in a bit cheap to get south, whatever does come up. I think I will do. I'll use some of that sort of fat I've got built up, if you like, to try and secure a job going south. But don't know how to price jobs this far. I know in the central belt, it's hard to get jobs and you have to go in cheap, but I think there's a lot more competition there. I've had a look on who's around you up here, which I might put on. Let's see if I remember. And there's a fair few vans here, but not like masses of amounts. And I've noticed most of them are for the same company as well, which is interesting. Must be based up here. We've got loads of it on there, loads of vans on there. Anyway, so yes, a bit apprehensive about what's going to happen tomorrow, but going to get tramped tonight in Tesco's car park tonight. As they yesterday, Tesco's today. No parking restrictions, time wise. Quiet in the corner of the car park. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Right, yeah, so it's Thursday night now, not Wednesday night, because I was kind of working quite late last night and really didn't have time to film anything. So just to go through what happened yesterday. So obviously woke up Wednesday morning in Aberdeen in that Tesco car park, and as I said, just put on the screen, that was who's around me. So there was actually quite a lot of vans in the area. When you look at it, it doesn't look like much, but considering how much work comes up there, that's a fair bit. So that was a bit of a kind of like bad news, you know. For me, it's not worth looking at who's around you, like if you're in a major city, because it's just going to be a sea of pinks and greens and all sorts of colours, but make lots of green. But when you're somewhere a bit more out of the way, it's worth looking. to know what the local competition is, kind of thing. Then it's worthwhile looking at it. Quite interesting to look at. So yeah, I was waiting for jobs. A few jobs did ping up, not a lot. I'd say probably up there, maybe one job an hour was pinging up within 30 miles, which is kind of like a standard thing. But I actually increased the search radius to 60 miles or 50 miles and put the centre of it slightly south of where I was in Aberdeen, so it'd take in Dundee as well. Yeah, and it still did quiet. And on the Tuesday night when I got up there, I did actually post on one of the courier groups on Facebook, just to ask how busy is it in Aberdeen? Is it like the central belt of Scotland? Is it really quiet? To get a job, do you have to go in cheap? Just basically looking for advice, really, because the third time I've been to Scotland, and I've never been that far north. I've always been the central belt the last two occasions, first two occasions. And I also put on there if anyone's got any jobs for the morning, something I don't normally do on his Facebook page, but if you've got anything, let me know. The guy, did he put his email address and says he might have something in the morning, so I emailed him. There's a few emails back and forth. Don't know if he was on the CX or not, but yeah, he says he couldn't find anything, or he said don't hold out for it. It's probably not going to happen. And there was a guy on there who said he might have a job coming out of Edinburgh later on in the day for the Wednesday. So I said, oh yeah, please let me know, kind of thing, keep me in the loop. And then in the morning, he'd sent me a message on Facebook, but I don't get notifications on my phone. If I go into Facebook Messenger, it'll be there, but I don't get a ping to say I've had a message. It's a bit like that sometimes on my phone with WhatsApp. If I haven't used the app for a while, it just stops giving them kind of notifications, and I've never worked out how to change it. But anyway, yeah, he actually, fair play to him, he went to the effort of obviously getting my number off of CX and rang me. He said a job is coming off out of Edinburgh. It's going down to London, or sort of north of London, sort of Watford area. Would I be interested? Obviously I was, even though it's quite a lot of miles to get down to Edinburgh. It's 125 miles empty. It says, what would you charge, kind of thing, and then so it's like 380 miles, which is a really long job. So it says 90p a mile, which for me is just kind of like the going rate, because people say £1 a mile and stuff, but that's more, for me, that's more on like the 100-mile mark. And then when you get longer jobs, it does drop a bit. So 90p a mile on a job of that length is pretty good. So yeah, he gave me the job, very pleased to get the job. So that was about 10 in the morning or just after, and he wasn't picking up till 2:30. So I had quite a lot of time to kill, but it was a 2 hour and 20 minutes drive to the pickup in Edinburgh, like I say, 125 miles. So a bit of time to kill, so I went and had a bit of a mooch around Aberdeen. Have a look at this. Yeah, it's good to have the opportunity to have a bit of a look around Aberdeen, because I can't see me going up there again, to be honest. You never know, but unlikely. I wanted to have a bit more of a look around the sort of docks, ports area, but I looked on Google Maps and I soon realised there's no like normal quay where there'll be fishing boats and pleasure boats and all that kind of stuff, because like the whole port is dedicated to the oil and gas industry. Obviously massive in the oil and gas industry, Aberdeen, North Sea oil and gas, and that's obviously the job that brought me up here, was to do with that anyway. So it's just full of these big boats, the ones with the big bows on the front, and the bridge is on the front, and they look a lot like a flatbed van or a flatbed rigid truck, just like big lump at the front and then a flat back end, sort of huge bow on it, and then quite low sides. So I think that's what they use to take out the supplies and stuff to the rigs and that. So yeah, it was quite interesting. And then drove down, nice drive down. So when I drove from like Perth area to Aberdeen the night before, it was dark, so obviously got to go back during the daylight and check out quite a nice countryside around there. So I got to the pickup 2:30, says go to reception, so I went to reception. Spoke to a young chap there in the office. He goes, oh yeah, it's not quite ready, we weren't expecting it till 3. I was like, alright, no hassle kind of thing, I'll just wait around. And then it turned out there's a guy in the stores, he came out and goes, oh, we weren't expecting you till 5, it's not ready yet. Oh, okay, it's a bit late really, because I need to be getting down there, but didn't say that to him, just like, well, whatever. And then he goes, in that van, he goes, oh, they'll never fit in there. Like, great. It was 10 flight cases, pretty large ones, I think. Well, the order was for 10, or the job was for 10, 1,080 kilograms, which is pretty much max weight. I could take slightly more than that, but not a great deal more. And there was actually 11 flight cases, and then another small box, which was full of cables. So I couldn't put 11 in anyway, because of weight. And 10, they didn't want to put them on their sides, these flight cases, even though that's apparently, you know, it's normal. They want to leave them on the wheels, so I could only get them on the floor space kind of thing. And in this van you can only get 2 wide, you can't get 3 wide across the van like you can in some vans, like I think Citizen Relays, shipper said. Peugeot Boxer and Ducato will be the same. It's like 2 centimeters maybe too short, too narrow, this van. So I could only get 2 that way, and then managed to get 6 in on their wheels on the thing and strapped down. Could have got the other 4 on if there was 10, I reckon. If we lifted them on top and slid them, could have got them bulkhead to back doors pretty much, probably maybe 10 centimeters spare. I did measure it with my tape measure, but I didn't want to do that, and by that point, because it was 11 anyway, they'd already negotiated another van or something which was coming, so I took 6, and the other van that came took the other 5, and the extra box with the cables. So yeah, I got loaded. I was there a little while actually. I didn't get out there until, so I got there 2:25 or something, and then I got away about just before 4, but hey ho. Yeah, I got loaded. One thing in that case, like the storeroom guy, he's not the most helpful kind of guy. You kind of need sometimes, you know, people to be can do, and he's a bit of a negative Nelly, you know, it'll never fit and all this stuff. But tried to tell me my van can't carry a ton as well, which is wrong, because I've had it on loads of weigh bridges. Yeah, anyway, when I did get loaded, I was then a question of can't deliver till 9, between 9 and 11, so I thought I'll try and get it for 9 obviously, but I need to stop somewhere. It's getting on by that point, so I thought if I did a straight drive down, it was gonna be like gone midnight, and I'd have to find somewhere to stay around here, which is like North London, or around the place, North London, which is probably going to be expensive, and I really couldn't be bothered looking, so I just thought it might be just cheaper, to be honest, just to go home. So that's what I did. I managed to shave 14 miles off the job, because the job, the way that it routed it and quoted it, was going down the A1 to like Newcastle way. I managed to reroute it to go via the A68, which cuts direct sort of Edinburgh to Newcastle, doesn't follow the coast, but it's obviously a bit more up and down. So that saved 40 miles, but then to go home it added more miles. So I worked out the extra miles the journey was actually going to take me with the shorter route I managed to take, but then with the addition of going home, however many miles that was, times it by 33 pence, which is my running costs. So it's not just my fuel. People, you hear people talking about, I'm going to go home extra now or whatever, and it's just fuel cost. It's not. It's always, you've always got to think it's not just fuel, it's everything else. It's depreciation, whether it's loaded or unloaded in the work van. came out to the next like 12 quid, so it's going to be cheaper than staying in the thing anyway. It splits the journey in two pretty much. That said, I didn't get home till just gone 11, and I was out the door this morning 6:15, so I had probably like less than 6 hours sleep last night, but at least I was in my own bed. I managed to get a shower in as well. And even though I left quite early this morning, like it was 2.25 hour journey normally, I left 2 3/4 hours. I didn't get there till 9:30 because of traffic on the M1 and the M6, and I had to go another way around the south side of Coventry to save a bit of time. But I got there at 9:30. The other van was already there, but he was waiting to be tipped, so shortly after I arrived he got tipped. So he got there first, he got tipped first, and then I got unloaded, and I got to see the Strictly pretty nice chaps that unloaded me. Got to see the Strictly set. Yeah, really nice guys. I said, yeah, just have a look. No big secret. So to tell my parents when I see them next, because they watch it every week. And that was a job done, so I was tipped there and out of there and everything uploaded to the CX and stuff by about 10:20, looking for the job for today. So that was, ideally I wanted to finish this job earlier today, but it took a bit longer, but that's just how it goes. I was a bit late starting looking on kind of like today's job, 10:20, and today I have done a grand total of 0 jobs. I didn't get a job all day, so I was sat there not bidding on local stuff within London, but bidding on like jobs, longer jobs to get out of London, out of the southeast really, so including jobs like Southampton, some jobs to Brighton, sort of way, Sussex coast, and also further afield, you know, and got Northampton and Yorkshire and stuff. What I've bid in what I thought, you know, reasonable money, and a lot of them like within 30-40 minutes collecting, and just didn't get any. It's really hard to get a job down here. I think they're going really cheap and there's a lot of competition. I did have a call about a job at 2:30 to Eastbourne, picking up from not far where I was, like 20 minutes away. He said, yeah, I'll send a job through, and then before he sent it through, he rang me again and said, sorry, the customer's cancelled. They don't think there's going to be someone at the delivery point by the time you'll get there, so it's going to have to be rescheduled for the morning. And it was, because then it was put on as CX, so I could see it had gone on there for the morning, but obviously wanted to get something else. And it got till about 6:15. I had bids out on a job for this evening, going somewhere local to where I was, to Oxford away. That was like 68 quid a bid or something. And I had a bid on some alcohol jobs for the morning, which were Hoddesdon, which is north of London, going up to, one job going to Yorkshire, one job going to Lancashire. So a few drops on both of them, but like well over £1 a mile on them. And then the job for tonight called me. Basically got a job after a bit of, he was asking me why I quoted 68 quid, why not 70 or 75, 65, and I just says, well, I'm just going to work it out, calculate it, and if it comes out 70 it might knock a few quid off or whatever. But you know, he just seemed quite bothered about it, about it being like an odd number. He was saying, but it's not really an odd number, 68, it's even, and then if you wanted me to bid 65, that's an odd number. But anyway, yeah, so he gave me the job, but then the same thing happened again. This shipper rang me straight away and says, oh, he just had a text off the customer, the job's cancelled. So I don't know, maybe got a cheaper option, I don't know. And then when I was on the phone to them, I could hear somebody else was trying to call me, so I knew it was the alcohol job. So I rang them straight back. Had a bid in for a job to Yorkshire, one was picking up at 6:30. The Lancashire job is picking up at 4:30, which is way too early for me. 6 o'clock is normally the earliest I'll pick up, but seeing how crap today's gone, I need to get an early start tomorrow on a good paying job, which is exactly what this is. So I've got a job 4:30 picking up in the morning. Now 10 to 9, so I'm going to get to bed straight after I film this. Gonna have to get up probably 3:45, pack away, and I've got like 10 minutes to drive, so I don't know exactly where I am. There's a big M&S store here in Tesco. No restricted parking, they're not going to lock me in. I haven't seen any gates anyway. So I'm stopping here for the night. I didn't do a week in life vlog last week, but I actually picked up from this alcohol place. I was waiting to get my load for 4.5 hours. I picked up at 6:30 last week. Yeah, and it's 4.5 hours until my load was ready because short staff for night shift hadn't been picked or some alcohol wine. So I said to myself, I'm not going back there. I did get paid £15 an hour. It's extra 75 quid waiting time. So it worked out alright in that regard, but yeah, it's one of these ones where they give it you on a pallet, you handball it off, and then you can't leave the pallet with them. So last week what I did was, I knew that, so I just handballed it off the pallets before I left. Then when I went to get out of security, the security guard saw his ass, wasn't happy because he couldn't check it or something. But he couldn't check if it was on a pallet anyway, because you can't see all of it. So I don't really know. I think it was just on a wine. So I said last week I'll never go there. Not like I'll never go there again, but don't really want to go there again. But the way today's gone and the way it's going at the moment on the CX, pretty tough at the moment. Beggars can't be choosers. It's just, I've got to do it. So I'm not going to hit my sort of like real target for the week. No, I don't think. Very unlikely, but should hopefully hit my minimum. And this job tomorrow is like 275 quid for all in about 243 miles. So, but if it's 4 drops and about 200 k's worth of alcohol at each drop, all around sort of Manchester way. So hopefully nothing too central. But anyway, that is the week finally updated. It got behind a bit there. Right, Friday afternoon now, last on the run update. As is often the case, I'm parked at the supermarket down the road, so I'm going to get from my house, so get some supply for the weekend, might even get a few beers this weekend. Yes, so woke up obviously really early this morning, got there at 4:30. I did mention when I went there last week, I was there at 6:30 and it wasn't ready. I hadn't picked my load. When I got there today at 4:30, I was the only guy there, so I think I was like one of the first to turn up. So even if they are short-staffed on the night shift, in theory they should have, picked my one because I was one of the first to collect. So yeah, and it was ready. So I went to the hut, got my paperwork, go and see the forklifters, and he's like, yeah, go and sit in your van, we'll bring it out. And I sat there for half an hour before he brings it out. So there you go. Just, the way usual RDCs, the way they talk to delivery guys, truck drivers, couriers like myself, it's the same, it's just, it kind of gets on your nerves a bit sometimes, but you just kind of gotta, it's only have a cheek or whatever. So finally got loaded, drove up, it was 4 drops. I changed it around a little bit. 3 of them had to be done before 12. I changed the route slightly just to make it slightly quicker, slightly shorter and quicker. Just the way they routed it wasn't quite right, and they both had the 2 I changed around that both had to be done by 12 anyway. So I'm doing it that way to make it quicker. So the first one was a wine shop in Alderley Edge. So I delivered to Alderley Edge to a restaurant last week when I did it. It was the other side of the high street in Alderley Edge. If you don't know Alderley Edge, really posh part of Cheshire. It's where lots of rich people live, in particular footballers from the northwest. So a lot of like Liverpool and Manchester big teams, a lot of the players live around there. And last weekend when I delivered to the restaurant, I did ask if they get any footballers in, but I didn't ask the guy today, the wine shop. He actually brought it up, and he says they get loads in there. Liverpool, Man City players, and he did say even some of the Asian, Muslim ones who, still drink, even though they're Muslim or whatever. So I won't mention their names, but who else did he mention? Can't remember. Loads of City, loads of Liverpool players. That was not too bad. I was there like 15-20 minutes. Had to park on the high street. Did have a guy, double yellows, but not restricted parking. I'm unloading. I was there no more than 20 minutes. It was on a high street, so I was causing a bit of a blockage. But most people are quite patient, but there was one guy just as I'd finished and I was getting in the van, getting ready to go, a beep, and then when he got past me, a beep, and then his hand out the window, kind of gestured me saying, "What you doing?" It's like, well, pretty obvious what I'm doing. If you drive through middle of a business area during business hours, expect there be two deliveries getting done, just some people got no patience. And he was in like a four-wheel drive Bentley or something, so yeah, hey ho. Second drop was to a jewelry store. I think they just it was champagne. I think they just give it away in the shop or when you buy something in the run up to Christmas. I think that was quick, 10-minute drop, 15 cases of the same stuff. The third drop was the biggest drop. It was over 500 kilograms. In Deansgate area, Manchester, M3, and like a modern building with lots of offices and also some restaurants, like in very much a business sort of district. I've been there before actually, and then when I went there before I picked up document for box files, loads of them, like probably like nearly a ton's worth of them. So I went there in a park. They got a proper parking bay for deliveries undercover, but it was a bit of a pain because if I used my sack truck it would have took ages, but they did have a few little cages you could use, so it's 2 cages worth, and then I had to go down in a lift, down some little pathways under the building to get to the back of the restaurant and deliver. So that took a while. I was there 45 minutes, but really sound guy in the delivery bay. I managed to leave one pallet there. He said they will take pallets because they've got somebody who comes to collect them. I didn't think they would, but I asked anyway. But one of the pallets was a bit wonky, so he says, "Oh, sorry, we can't take that one because the guy won't want to take it." So fair enough. So I got rid of one pallet there, and then the final drop was Trafford Centre. Again to a jeweller's, 5 cases of, again it was champagne. Yeah, and this took a bit of a pain to get hold of because it didn't tell me which service yard, so I just went to the first service yard I came to, spoke to a security guard on the intercom, and he says, "Yeah, the wrong one, tell me where to go." I don't think his instructions were great, so I got a bit lost, and then eventually found the right one. Got tipped, and then I left a pallet there because they had a pile of pallets, so I just took what was left on the pile of pallets they had there, which, there was no one really to ask, but I'm sure they won't mind. So I got rid of the pallets, so I was done there about 20 to 1 maybe 20 past 1, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, quite a long job. So it's obviously 4 drops, lots of handball, messing around. Parked over the road in Asda. Feed initially was really busy, and I thought, this is good because I've not really been to Northwest much in the last recent weeks. Did on a few jobs, didn't get them, and then it went kind of quiet, like after 2, which is strange because like the lunchtime lulls normally midday till 2, and then it picks up from 2. And on a Friday afternoon, it tends to be a lot busier than other afternoons because places want stuff delivering before the weekend rather than leave it till Monday. Whereas if it's the other days of the week, they just plan it for the following morning. I think that's what happens, but it just went really quiet. And I bid on a few, bid cheap on a few, cheapish, didn't get them. And then a long wheelbase job pinged up from Bolton down to Stoke. It was 57 miles loaded. I priced at 85 pence a mile all the way through. It came out to 58, which is basically £1 a mile. So I thought I'd go in a bit cheaper, 55, which isn't a great job. Didn't work out in terms of pence per mile. It was less than 85 pence a mile. Didn't work out in terms of time because I was probably on the job maybe 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. but this is a Friday afternoon get me home job, or get me towards home without doing too many dead miles. So I kind of have to do that on a Friday. That's why I tramp through the week, because you have to do that Monday to Friday. It gets really hard to make a living doing this, in my view, or a reasonable living. You can make a basic living quite easily, but you don't go self-employed and stuff for me to be make a totally basic living. You might as well just work someone else, really. But there are other aspects to it. So that was the day. About 35 dead miles to get home. Pretty sure I'm now over 85 pence a mile, all miles for the week. Not too bad on the money front, but not great either. But obviously all that will come in the summary. Right, Sunday evening now. So a bit late filming the summary this week. Reason being, I went today to watch some off-road motorbike racing. Yeah, not been to see any like dirt bike enduro type racing for quite some time, so I took the opportunity. There was a Michelin Tough One hard enduro in Nantmile Quarry near Oswestry. It's only about an hour from where I live, and it's quite a big event in the UK and loads of good riders there. So the guy who won it, Billy Bolt, he's world champion for hard enduro, newly crowned. Real top class rider, obviously, and the guy came second, David Knight, 101 on his bike. He's like a enduro legend and multiple enduro world champion. He's in his 40s now, but he's still really good. He's actually MBE, David Knight MBE, or Knight as he's known. But anyway, that was quite good, but I just thought I'd include a few little clips. Back to the summary. So 5 full days this week. That's 4 nights. Managed to spend one night at home, 3 nights in the van, and a night at home was on the Wednesday. So it's quite good to get home on a Wednesday and get showered up, stuff like that. But yeah, I probably got my 6 hours kip because I was working late that day, and then I was up early on the Thursday. So let's say 5 days. So Monday was 2 jobs, 195 and 40, which is 235. Tuesday, 1 job, 250, that was up to Scotland. Wednesday, 1 job, 350, that was down to Scotland, which I finished off on a Thursday morning, but I'd counted it really as Wednesday's job because I did the majority of it Wednesday. Thursday, so I tipped the previous day's job, started looking about 20 past 10, and that was the day I got 0. I think that's my first 0 total blank day. Even though I did obviously finish the previous day's job, but really that's a £0 day. My lowest up to now was £30, which was like a cancelled job, and I got nothing else after when I was in Norfolk, but that's the record low. Can't go any lower than that, 0. Friday was pretty decent though, but I had to work long day, start early. 2 jobs, 275 and 55, which is 330, comes to a total of 1,165, which is £233 a day. So I met my minimum target for takings, which is 220, but again, it wasn't really where I want it, which is more like 250 a day when I'm tramping, which is all I do really. I was willing to tramp. Total miles 1,359. That's all miles loaded and unloaded. Like I keep saying, from leaving here on a Monday to getting back on a Friday afternoon, Friday afternoon, works out at 85.7 pence a mile. So just came in over my minimum target, which is 85. When I got this van, that was what I was thinking. I need to do 85 plus, but ideally now it needs to be more towards 90. No additional charges. So if you work out my takings, gross takings, which is what I say, plus my VAT bonus, the bit of the VAT I get to keep because I'm on the VAT flat rate scheme, and then I minus my fixed expenses, which is £20 a day, or £100 for a 5-day week. That covers, fixed stuff like insurances, vehicle tax, CX membership, all that stuff. That's fixed price for the year. And then take away my variable costs, which is things like fuel, depreciation, tyres, servicing, general upkeep of the van. That's 33 pence a mile, of which is 18 pence a mile is diesel. So if I take all that away from what my thing come out with, a pre-tax earnings, which is kind of like my wage, £710 a day, which is for the week, which is £142 a day. So yeah, that's I think the 3rd week in a row I've not quite met my 3rd week in a row. I talk about targets in terms of takings, but as I say in turnover's vanity and profit is sanity. So really, profit is what it all boils down to at the end of the day, what I'm actually earning. And numbers are given there pre-tax, so I've got to pay income tax, national insurance on that because I'm sole trader. So yeah, it's the last 3 weeks I've not quite hit that £150 target a day. But before that, I was earning more towards 180, like 170, 180 typically. The highest I did was 210. And then it was like way back in March, I think, the last time I didn't make 150, but it's been 3 weeks on a row where I've not made 150. So that just shows you it is getting harder. Not so many jobs on the CX compared to July, August kind of time. I think maybe more people have come back on it, more competition, rates are down, and obviously the fuel price has gone up in the last couple of months. It dipped down a bit last week, or this week's vlog, and then the week coming, so next week, it's pretty much stayed the same as it was this week. So it's just hoping it's going to keep going back down and get to where it was a couple of months ago, but it seems to have leveled off this week. But at least it's gone down from where it was a couple of weeks ago. So that was the week. Quite a fun week in a lot of ways. The highlights of the week was definitely going to Scotland, Aberdeen, seeing some new areas, having a mooch around Aberdeen itself, some nice countryside up there. I don't know if I've ever been up that way. Definitely not doing this, working, but I don't think I've ever been anyway. So that was quite good. I won't be going to Scotland for the foreseeable though, because it was difficult to get out. Aberdeen is absolutely dead. I had jobs out of the Central Belt, Edinburgh's Glasgow. I was really quite chuffed and grateful to the guy who gave me the job to get out there, because otherwise it would have been a long drive down to potentially like Preston way, or maybe go back to the northeast, Newcastle, all dead miles from Aberdeen. That would have been an absolute killer, absolute shocker. Totally ruined a week, as it happened. Managed to salvage it, really. So that's it. the following week. So starting tomorrow, I'm not going to vlog because obviously it's my off week for doing Week in Life, but I'm not going to be working a full week because the van's in for its service tomorrow, Monday. And while it's there, they're having another look to try and sort out its AdBlue issue. Only came on once this week, the light. Last week it came on like several times, like several times a day sometimes. I thought it might get to the stage where it was going to, you know, be a permanent fault rather than an intermittent fault, and it'd have to go straight into the garage early. And there's also a few other things, like there's some I mentioned before when I changed the oil last time, the intercooler pipe that goes from the turbo to the intercooler. It's obviously not sealed properly. It's kind of like rattly loose. It's like it clips on, and then it's oil coming from that joint. So I don't think there should be so much oil in the intercooler sort of thing. So I'm guessing that oil must be coming from the turbo. You always get a bit of bypass from the turbo, possibly, but I don't think there should be that much. So they're going to check it out tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what they say. It's using about half a litre of oil every 6,000 miles, maybe 7,000 miles, and it gets serviced by the book every 24,000 miles, even though I'm doing one in between. So in really, it'd use 2 litres of oil between official service points, and that's got to be too much. So let's see what the technician has to say tomorrow, the Master Tech. So it's got a few issues, this van, to be honest. It's not giving me as great miles per gallon as it used to. Still around a 35. I always work my figures off 35, but it used to be getting like 37, 38, occasionally 39, but now I'm like getting 34, 35, 36 on average. Yep, so that's it for this week. Cheers for watching. As ever, please like and subscribe and all that jazz. Any comments, put them below. I'll respond to them. And they're also good for anyone else who watches this as well. And any tips you've got from me or anyone else who watches things that have come up in this video. Right, cheers.